Hey, what's up, Next Level crew? Welcome back to What's Your Next, the show where we explore life after corporate for many, the road less traveled, and everything in between. And today we have a good episode. We're going to be covering a topic that's going to hit home with a lot of you who are hitting the what's next season, especially those empty nesters out there. So, Stacy, why do you think these days that franchising is becoming such a popular alternative for empty nesters looking to start their next chapter?
Welcome to What's Your Next. This is the go-to podcast for aspiring business owners who want to get to the next level, escape the rat race, and give their middle finger to the corporate 9-to-5. If you want financial freedom, work-life balance, and the business of your dreams, you're in the right place. Dave and Stacy Riska, husband-wife franchising duo, openly share their successes, failures, and lessons learned in franchising, business ownership, and working with your spouse.
Well, we relate. We're empty nesters as well, so we feel everything that you're going through. But look, if you're an empty nester, you've spent the last 20 plus years putting your heart, your soul, your energy into raising your kids. And that probably took a lot of time and energy and perhaps distracted you from other things that you may have considered doing. Well, now, if you're an empty nester, you have more free time. You have freedom, you have flexibility, you might even have some money sitting around. And you might just be asking, well, what's next? Like, what do I do now? A lot of people kind of come into this empty nester midlife crisis. And so Dave and I would challenge you to consider franchising. And a lot of people are curious about it, but they just don't know what to do, where to go, if it's even for them, and how to even consider that as an empty nester.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've worked with a lot of couples that who never saw themselves as business owners. Can you share a story maybe with our listeners about a couple who made the leap of faith and surprised themselves?
Yeah. We have a great story. So Dave and I were working with a couple here local in Maryland, and the husband was like a burnout tech person, so Dave could really relate. And the wife had just been recently laid off from her marketing job, and they were empty nesters, and they were kind of considering like, well, they were sitting around the dinner table and these conversations would come up, and they're like, well, what if we explored? What if? What might be next? So they reached out to us. We did our magic matchmaking, and we ended up matching them to an education franchise, which you're thinking, tech, marketing, why did they end up in education? Well, it ended up being a perfect match because the husband was able to use his business and tech skills to kind of manage that part of the business, the operations, the tech part, the finances. And the wife was able to use her personal skills. And so she focused on building the team, leadership, culture. And we touched base with them, and they're both just so happy. They say they're having so much fun together. They actually see each other more, and they're so glad that they made this next.
Yeah, interesting transition for them, but it was a good fit. So the next step in this is working together as a couple. Right? So what are some of the things you should consider before going into business together as a couple?
Yeah. It's the elephant in the room, and Dave and I know a lot about it because we've always worked together. So let's kind of have some banter here. I'll share what I feel is most important in couples working together, and then you add yours.
Oh, boy.
Right? For me, I feel it's really important to define up front. You've probably heard the saying, stay in your lane, right? And while driving in a car, that's important. While swimming, that's important. While owning a business, it's vitally important. Stay in your lane. Define what you're good at, do what you're good at, and let the other person do what they're good at.
Well, I can't disagree with that. I mean, that is very true. I think we've done that pretty well. Mm-hmm. I think at times there's been some grayish areas there where I wanted to do something that I didn't feel that necessarily maybe Stacy was doing as well as she could, or I could have, see a way of doing it better. Mm-hmm. You know what? I didn't do it. I literally stayed in my lane, and I'm not sure if that was the right approach or the wrong approach, but I believe it was. It was the right approach to kind of just pick your roles and let the other person take care of their role, you take care of your role, and basically outsource everything else that you're not good at, right?
Right.
And look for outside assistance. All right. Fun, right? So some people at this point might be thinking, I love my spouse, but could I really work with them?
Right.
What would you say to the hesitant ones?
Look, it's a valid concern, and you both are going to need to talk about it openly. And sometimes there may be a situation where one spouse is more involved than the other. And what would business ownership look like for you? Because are you looking to be more of an owner-operator? An owner-operator meaning one person is more actively involved, or are you both actively involved and then defining those swim lanes? Or are you looking maybe more for a business that's semi-absentee? You're going to hire a manager out of the gate because maybe you both have talked about really wanting just to travel more or do things together and not be so attached to a business, but knowing that your business can work without you being there 24/7. You're working on the business, not in the business. So I think it really depends that, and when couples come to us and we're doing our matchmaking, we make sure that both of them are on the call. And it's kind of funny because when we start presenting options and we have a process where we go through and we ask them to rate it, and sometimes if one of the spouses is like a 0 out of 10 and the other is a 10 out of 10, we make it clear that, hey, one of you loves this, one of you hates it. We're not going to be the cause of a divorce. So you guys are going to need to talk this through. Maybe it's not a good business to consider.
Right. Absolutely. And it's fun, right, to kind of go through that exercise with them. All right, let's talk money and freedom. How can franchising set couples up for a more flexible lifestyle as they move into their quote-unquote next season?
Yeah, so we were talking a little bit about that because it's defining what you want it to be. What does lifestyle mean to you? Do you both want more freedom and time to travel? Are you looking to be an empire builder? Is that important to you to grow and scale and build something that perhaps down the road you're going to sell? Maybe it's to fund your retirement. Maybe it's for legacy. Maybe those kids will come back and it'll be a family business. So there's many options. It's just defining what you want it to be.
Right. And I love the idea of business being shared as your second act. Mm-hmm. It can be so rewarding, and a lot of times the pressure isn't there that you used to have when you were not empty nesters, had all the responsibilities, had the kids, and you can just really focus on building something that you both enjoy and that can provide you the money, the flexibility, and the freedom that you are looking for.
Right.
So with all this being said, Stacy, this all sounds brilliant. Any last words for these empty nester couples who are looking for something to do?
I thought it was great conversation today. Obviously there's a lot that you need to think about, and have the conversation with your spouse, but be open to learning and exploring. Most people that we talk to, they're just not ready to sit on the couch eating bonbons, and they want something that isn't necessarily a paycheck. They want something with with purpose, with passion, something that they can do together, right? And so Dave and I, we found a way to make it work. We love working together, and it's just so exciting to see that together we're building something. And so I would encourage you to possibly consider doing the same. Reach out to us. We're happy to share our stories and experiences with you to help you determine if owning a business might be a good next.
All right, before I get myself in trouble, we're ending it here. Thank you for joining us on this episode of What's Your Next. If you liked our content today, please like and subscribe. It really does help us out in the algorithms. We appreciate you being here, and we will catch you on the next episode of What's Your Next.